Okay, we're called to order the Franklin Regional Board of School Directors for October 4th, 2021 for the Committee of the Whole meeting. We're in executive session tonight from 6:30 till 6:35. Legal, contractual, and personnel. Dr. Pirano, Superintendent's report.
No report this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you. Public comments. Okay, we got three tonight. Dr. Larry Borland. Haven't seen you in a while.
How you doing,
Good.
everybody? Look at this, I'm even going to start my own timer. Isn't that outrageous?
Just give us your address.
3915 Bridgewood Circle, Murraysville, PA.
Thank you.
Good evening. In a recent letter to President Biden, the NSBA apparently urged the federal government to perceive angry parents as unruly school board member meetings as some level of domestic terrorists or potential terrorists. This letter was apparently sent on behalf of several of the state organizations, and I haven't yet been able to figure out whether that was Pennsylvania. Although this letter specifically references contentious meetings such as occurred in Loudoun, Virginia, the letter also appears to lump more peaceful protests against such items as masks and other issues as CRT into the domestic terrorism category. As you all know, I was on this board both as a member for 8 years as well as president for much of that time. From the point of view of the board, public sessions, especially question and answer periods, are very, very taxing. So we appreciate this. Nevertheless, parents, grandparents, and taxpayers have a right to be heard. Notice the word. All of those who rise to speak and question, including board members themselves, are committed, enthusiastic, often passionate, sometimes angry, but rarely, and I really do mean rarely, is their speech can be construed as a violent threat, nor their presence be construed as a physical threat. It is disturbing and a distortion of language for the NSBA to equate members of the public who are questioning a school board's pending or past declarations as terrorist declarations or the individuals as terrorists. So I'm petitioning the board to investigate and affirm whether this finding, and I have seen reports in it, including the National Public Radio, whether this is actually a publication that has gone out and been approved by and sanctioned by the Pennsylvania School Board Association. I would ask this board to consider withdrawing membership from both of these organizations rather than be swept into affirming that the legitimate public involvement and questioning is a terrorist activity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Borland. Okay, Gretchen. Sure.
Larry, would you be able to email that to me so I can make sure that I'm looking up what you're asking?
Yes.
Do it to all of us, Larry.
I actually, I'll email it to Donna. Is that all right?
That's fine.
Yeah, you can
Thank you.
email it to the rest of us.
Just for the record, we are not a member of the National School Board Association. We are only a member of PSBA.
Okay, Gretchen. McBee.
Good evening. My name is Gretchen McGee. I live at 3311 Carriage Circle, Murraysville, Pennsylvania. I'm here tonight to talk about the slippery slope that I feel like we're on with taking away parents' rights. Since the start of school, we have slowly been taking away our rights. We are being told what we can and cannot do with our own children. We started the year with masks being optional, and then Governor Wolf had a non-elected official find a loophole so he could get his way. We, the people, voted in May and made our wishes known. There is no end in sight, according to Governor Wolf's press conference last week. We have been told our kids need to wear masks and social distance, which is not good for their socialization and their health, all of which I'm sure you've all heard before, so I won't get into the data. The mandate itself doesn't make sense. It states that it can't be enforced, so if it can't be enforced, what is the point of having it? In the middle school, kids had started a petition for no masks in gym class. When I asked my daughter why we needed a petition when it states in this illegal mandate that they don't need to wear masks in gym class, children don't know these rules, and obviously a lot of the parents don't know these rules. And when I asked someone on staff at a school, she just referred to it as it's not being made public knowledge. In other words, the students don't know this information and neither do their parents. But masks is only just part of the slippery slope we're on. Our primary school and our intermediate school now have gender-neutral bathrooms. I am unsure, I came late to the game, if parents got to vote on this idea. I'm unsure of why we're catering to a small portion of the population that would need a gender-neutral bathroom. It is a slippery slope of making it easy to hurt our children and teaching them that they don't have gender and it's not important. I have 3 daughters. They know they're girls. They do not need to be sharing a bathroom with boys. I have talked to other parents whose children who now try to hold their urine in the entire day so they don't have to use these bathrooms. I have heard parents and staff tell me that these bathrooms are a disaster. There are many things to be worked on. One staff member told me that they needed to educate the kids on how to clean up after themselves and knock before entering. My daughter goes to the primary school, which is K through 2nd. Kids are still working on these issues at home and at school, especially boys. We are so concerned with our children wearing masks and not getting COVID-19 that we forget that some of them are either sitting on someone else's urine or cleaning it up themselves, which I would assume they would get sick from. Not only that, but I was informed that the locks on the doors of the bathrooms are difficult for these children to work, which means there's a lack of privacy. I will tell you that my 8-year-old does not need a boy walking in on her when she's half naked and seeing her vagina, nor does she need to walk in on a boy half naked and see his penis. I don't need my children coming home with that. What we teach our children at home is up to us. Making it so that boys and girls are in the same bathroom makes it easier for worst case scenarios. If it is no longer a question that a boy can be in a bathroom with a girl or vice versa, what is there to stop a child from being locked in a bathroom stall, which is now floor to ceiling closed, to have an abuse happen? These stalls,
Gretchen,
I'm sorry,
your 4 minutes are up.
thank you.
Thank you. Matthew Ackerman.
My name is Matthew Ackman. I live at 4211 Bulltown Road. Good evening, members of the board. The Milgram experiments were conducted in the 60s by Yale psychologist Stanley Milgram in response to the trials of the World War II criminal Adolf Eichmann. The experiment wanted to find out how people would react to authority figures and if the test subjects would be obedient in bringing harm to another person, and in this case through a series of shocks for incorrect answers while implementing a quiz. The results found that 65% of the people delivered the maximum shock, but only 10% did when in presence of a rebellious peer. Despite the ethical issues of this test and the inability to fully recreate these results, Milgram's experiment did cast light on human behavior and how anyone can be coerced by authority figures. The start of the year implemented an appropriate policy of making masks optional for the students at Franklin Regional. We had a whole year of empirical data to show that mask mandates from state to state had no effect on the rise and fall of the COVID-19 infection rates, with additional studies from universities confirming it. We've also had the negative effects of constant mask wearing itself, both physically and mentally, not to mention the unknown long-term health effects to young lungs breathing in fibers and bacteria all day, every day, as I've cited at this forum before. The only reason why my 3 children have to wear masks, compromising their education and health, is because the governor and his office, who is directly responsible for the death of thousands of seniors in Pennsylvania, while sparing their loved ones from a similar fate, told the schools to do so. Unfortunately, the debate of the mask are now becoming least of our concerns. Last week, Governor Wolf, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I saw this news article. Governor Wolf declared that mask mandates won't end until children are vaccinated. To discuss the efficacy of these vaccines, we look to countries like Israel, who have extremely high vaccine rates amongst their population, are now seeing exploding rate of COVID infections amongst the vaccinated. The same can be reported in countries like Australia and even the New England area in the U.S. The data suggests that the vaccine is effective in reducing sickness and hospitalizations for only about 4 to 6 months, while natural immunity is showing to be much more effective than a half year. Then let's talk about the safety and health. Pregnant women are strongly discouraged from taking ibuprofen, other medications, drinking alcohol, eating certain foods, and even changing litter boxes, and so on. The medical industry did this to put an emphasis on the health and safety for the unborn child. Now, authorities in government are encouraging pregnant women to receive this vaccine that has no long-term health impact studies and a dubious and dangerous federal government approval of use. In addition, government departments and medical boards are discouraging and censoring the reports of injuries caused by these vaccines. With this fact of the population's health being put at risk with this ineffective vaccine, my children will not receive it. And if Franklin Regional will be obedient to the authorities of Governor Wolf in the state, I will remove them from these schools and educate them elsewhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matthew. Okay, that's it for public comment. All right, solicitors' comments.
I have no comment for public session, Mr. President.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to consent agenda items. Dr. Pinus, personnel.
Yes, you'll see in the attachment, there's a series of appointments, leaves of absences and substitutes, resignations for certified support and supplemental personnel.
Any questions on personnel? No. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Rogowski, Catapult Learning and AIU.
Good evening. The two agenda items I have for you this evening are our typical annual agreements. The first one is with Catapult Learning for professional services for Mother of Sorrows and Aquinas Academy using our Title I funds. The costs are within the agreement. Does anybody have any questions in regards to those amounts?
I do not.
Yep.
Okay.
These are all based on a per pupil allocation of the school, similar to the Title II funds that we discussed at the last board meeting. The last agenda item is an agreement with the Allegheny Intermediate Unit to provide blind and visual impaired services for students that would be at the DePaul School. Since the DePaul School does not offer those services, we need to contract out for those services for students that may need that. Any questions in regards to that agreement?
Just a quick question on that one. It says this is the annual service agreement. We've been using them for some time. Do you know how much some time is? It's like, I thought I read it in like 7 years or.
It's been a long time. When you look at Pittsburgh and where schools are located in Pittsburgh, if they're within the Pittsburgh public school system, then sometimes we have to utilize the Pittsburgh public school system. If they're within a different school system, such as Wilkinsburg, then we have to go through the Allegheny Intermediate Unit in order to provide those services. So it can change from year to year depending on which students need which service and where the private schools are located. But we've been working with them as long as I've been here, which is over 10 years.
And we're satisfied.
Yes, very satisfied.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Perry. Electricity procurement ratification. First up.
Good evening. The first item I have for you this evening is the ratification of 2 electricity procurement agreements. The district continues to use Keytex Energy as our consultant when purchasing natural gas and electricity. These agreements are specific to the Heritage and Newlandsburg service locations, and it's an extension of contractual agreements so that they don't fall back to default service, which would be a more volatile rate going into the winter months.
Any questions for Mr. Perry? Okay, give some grants and donations.
This month, we have $129.50 of contributions from FR staff to the Fund a Meal program, a $14,000 donation from the Grable Foundation to fund the district's participation in the Western PA Learning 2025 Alliance, and a $10,000 grant from the Franklin Regional Panther Foundation for the robotics workshop at Newlandsburg.
Any questions on gifts, grants, and donations? Okay.
And
Pre-approval
finally,
of-
I have the pre-approval of October 2021 bills, similar to July and December, with there only being one board meeting in October. I'm asking for a pre-approval. We'll send the list of bills to the board for review on October 14th, and those payments would be sent out on October 18th.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Nancy and Mr. Matsey.
Good evening. I have one item tonight. It's the high school and the middle school bleachers for repair. There is some correspondence in your packet that show what is needed at both gyms. We're coming to the life expectancy of some of these bleachers at this point. This will get us by and be safe.
Any questions?
I say that one of the notes is that parts are becoming very hard to get,
Correct.
and this is seemingly becoming more and more a common theme with a lot of stuff. As it gets older, you can't get the parts.
There's a 6-week lead time. I think I was asked that at the one meeting. There's a 6-week lead time on parts. We still should be able to get this in before basketball.
And these bleachers are over 20 years old.
Right.
Are we able to operate them safely right now, or is that really a challenge?
Not well.
Not well.
All right.
There's a gearbox leaking. I don't know if you could see it in the pictures. The one, if you replace, there's 3 gearboxes on the one side. If you replace one, it'll not bring out the bleachers evenly and cause more binding underneath, which that's the problem with the bending of the telescopic bleachers.
Mr. Yingling whispered in my ear that they're not working well right now, so it's a bit of a challenge to make them function. So that's all I wanted to know.
Yes.
Thank you.
What's the time frame in getting the new stuff?
6 weeks roughly.
6 weeks. So whether you do parts or brand
No.
new.
Oh, brand new, no. Brand new. There's some preliminary numbers we put together for sections of it, but for right now, for this season, we wouldn't be able to do it for this season.
So you have to Band-Aid them up.
Yes, sir.
That's what this is.
But they will be able to repurpose at least half of the cost that I'm asking for if other bleachers go down. Those gearboxes will be able to be repurposed.
Okay.
Jane.
My question is, you're saying they're nearing the end of their life, so would we expect that next year you would come to us and say you need all, I mean, just planning ahead, how we usually do the 5 to 10 year kind of forecasting?
My understanding,
Would
that's-
you expect new bleachers completely?
Yeah, my understanding how the process works here at Franklin Regional, I would be putting numbers together and bringing that to the board and see where we wanted to put that on the capital plan.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you for including pictures and the detail that you put into this.
So
that's-
how long do you think this will extend the life of our bleachers? 2 years, 3 years?
It could, I mean, we're going to be underneath them when they're being pulled out to make sure everything is lined up. That's something I've instructed the maintenance staff to do once they're pulled out. With anything being of that age, something else, they get inspected every year through school code. And this was a second company that confirmed the first company with the same damages.
Any other questions?
Just for reference, obviously we see the cost of this repair. Can you give us a potential estimated cost for a full replacement of those bleachers?
I have a CoStar price of roughly $171 a seat. We approximately have, on the one side, 728 seats. I didn't put this into the packet, But we're looking at one section of about 125,000 a section.
And that's for one section? And how many total sections?
This is for the ones, this would be the one side, like the home side.
Okay.
The big bleachers on the home side.
So we're looking somewhere in the reference of 250 to 300,000 to do the main.
To do the entire thing? Okay, wow.
Just putting that into perspective as we look at this number and think, wow, to repair this, it costs this much. I just wanted you to be able to see the full scope of a full replacement.
The big picture.
Okay. Hi, Nancy.
Or evening. I have just one agenda item. This is for the primary school. It is EC 12. This is to A1 Electric for a credit for not installing the owner-provided Promethean boards. The credit is $7,600. Any questions?
Thank you.
That's like the first.
That's
So
nice.
who installed the Promethean boards?
The district had a vendor that they purchased the Promethean boards from that also did the install. There was a note on the drawings that was not caught, and the owner district thought that they were installing them. We didn't catch it, and they ended up paying their vendor to do it. We realized the technology consultant informed us of the note as we were getting into the intermediate school. They said, well, the electrical contractor should be installing them. And I said, well, why didn't they install them at the primary school? And that is when we realized that this credit would be necessary. And we requested the credit from the electrical contractor. This cost or this number is direct from their subcontractor. And their value was about 2 hours for two guys for each board, which we thought was pretty reasonable considering the work associated to it.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, motion to adjourn committee of the whole meeting.
Second.
Moved by Mark, second by Paul. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to go right into the regular voting meeting for Monday, October 4th, 2021. Call to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Reading of the mission statement, we, the Franklin Regional School community, strive for excellence, learning, achievement, and citizenship in all we do. We were not back into executive session between meetings. Roll call, Ms. Wolf.
Mrs. Tower?
Here.
Mr. Shiner?
Here.
Mr. Miterator?
Here.
Mr. Kozlowski?
Here.
Mr. Weinman?
Here.
Mrs. Weline?
Here.
Mr. Yingling?
Here.
Mr. Nevin and Mr. Yan are not present.
Correct. Okay, superintendent's report.
No report this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you. We need a motion to approve the committee of the whole meeting for minutes for September 2021 and the regular meeting minutes for September 2021. Need a motion.
So moved, Shiner.
Second one.
Second, Wyman. Comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 7-0. Future dates, Dr. Prano. And upcoming topics.
So upcoming board and committee meetings, October 8th will be a finance committee meeting at the administrative offices at 3210 School Road, beginning at 1:30 p.m. And again, that's in the former Heritage Elementary School in the administrative offices. November 8th, we will have a committee of the whole meeting at 7:30 p.m. and our regular meeting on the 22nd of November at 7:30 p.m. Upcoming topics include personnel, gifts, grants, donations, budget transfers, bus routes, van and bus drivers. I do want to take a moment to thank the Franklin Regional Panther Foundation for their commitment of $10,000 to support the development of the robotics team. And so that team has been working in their advisor's basement or garage for well over a decade. And with the Newlandsburg Elementary School being vacant and with the administrative offices moving there, what has been established is that they're able to use the kitchen area as well as the cafeteria area to move out of Mr. Vincent's home and into the school environment. But that requires tools and equipment and those types of things. And the Panther Foundation committed $10,000 to support that endeavor. So I do want to recognize the Panther Foundation for their ongoing generosity and commitment to our students and innovative programs in our school district. And I should have put that in the superintendent's report, and it slipped my mind.
That's all right.
I'd just like to make a follow-up comment that our robotics team has been fairly successful in their endeavors, and I think it's a marvelous opportunity to support that activity. Thank you for help making that available.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
No, that concludes
Thank you.
upcoming topics and future dates.
Thank you, Dr. Prano. Okay, there are no additional public comments for the voting meeting. Solicitors' comments?
No comments at this time, Mr. President.
Thank you. Items to remove from consent agenda for separate action by members of the board. Anybody have any consent agenda items to be removed? Hearing none, I need a motion to approve 1 through 8 for consent agenda items.
Second, Shiner.
Move Jane Tower, second Paul Shiner. Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-2. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So move one.
Scott, who's second? Jane. Scott made the motion, Jane second. Thank you, everybody.